Hello everyone, this is Paukshte Fashion Workshop. I remind you that we post new videos every day. I wanted to have a look at these mock-up once again. I showed you the making of it in the previous videos. I remind you that this is a pattern for the garments with the drop shoulders. As I've already said, you can sew a lot of different garments on the basis of this pattern. Today I'm going to show you how to make such a blouse on its basis. I'm going to make a mock-up. Have a look at the sketch. Drop shoulders, turn down collar, waistband. It will be stitched to the blouse. The waistband should be doubled. Let's have a look at the back. There will also be a waistband at the back. The waistband will be simply stitched to the back, and it will turn into a bow on the front. This is how it is going to look like when the bow is untied. Let's have a close look at the sketch once again. The wrap-over should be edged with the facing details. It can be lined with cambric. We often line such light summer clothes with cambric. If you double the facing and the collar with the interfacing material, if you make accurate shoulders and a beautiful bow, the blouse will be gorgeous. It won't look cheap, even though it's made on the basis of such simple pattern. The high-quality garments always look expensive, even if they're simple. Nowadays, people give us a lot of advice on how to look like you're dressed expensive. You do not have to spend a lot of money for it. Just sew and wear high-quality clothes. Have a look here. Each of the chest darts should be moved to the waist and divided in two. It should be done in order to avoid making such sharp angles. Have a close look at this one. I've already showed you how to move the darts a lot of times. You know that it's not hard to do it. There will also be two pin tucks under the waistband on each side of the center front. I want the bottom of the blouse to be slightly gathered, even though it looks differently in the sketch. I remind you that this blouse will be made on the basis of the pattern for the garments with the drop shoulders. First, I need to draw the pin tucks and the darts. After that, I'll make the waistband and the collar. Let's start working. I'm going to make a collar when the garment is tacked. This is the only way to make an accurate collar. There is going to be a wrap over on the front. The lower detail will be attached to the upper one with the button. There will be a bow on the waistband. It will be about 60 or 70 centimeters long down from this point. I know that such simple garments of the knit fabrics are very comfortable. I love them too. The worst thing about them is that you stop thinking about the way you look and act like. I always say that garments with the belts make you look much slimmer, improve your posture, and make you look taller than you really are. Such garments don't look baggy. Don't be lazy. It's very easy to wear comfortable clothes. Sometimes it's better to sacrifice convenience for beauty. I really hope that you like the design. I'm sure that such blouses can help us be different and beautiful. Even if you're not planning to sew such blouses, I'm sure that you'll find something useful in these videos. I want you to learn to work with the mock-ups. Have a look at mine. I remind you that a mock-up is not an actual garment. I drew all the lines with the marker pen right on it. There is a line on the center front. I need to cut it first. I also need to cut the center back. I'll cut it this way. I don't need the seam extension anymore. I had made a mock-up and tried it on. After that, I cut the center front and the center back seams, so that I have two separate details. I'll be working with this half of the mockup. I'm not going to throw the second detail away. It can be used for making many more different garments. It's very convenient to work this way. If you have a mockup, it would take you just about half an hour to prepare a garment cut on its basis for stitching. I'm going to work just with one half of the mockup now, so I can move the second detail aside. I showed you the way the mockup fits me. Watch the videos on how to make patterns for the garments with the drop shoulders if you haven't done it yet. What do we have here? This is a half of my mockup. I want to outline the waistline. First, I need to draw and cut the waistband. I need to do it before removing the taking from the tucks. Watch what I'm doing. I'm going to draw a waistband with the use of a ruler. I need to put the mark 2.5 centimeters right on the line and mark 2.5 centimeters on each side of the line. By doing so, I'm going to draw a 5 centimeter wide waistband. 2.5 centimeters, 2.5 centimeters, 2.5 centimeters. This is the back. I'll outline the drawn detail with a marker pen. This is the center back. I wanted to understand that reading about sewing is different from the actual sewing process. 2.5 centimeters, 2.5 centimeters. That gives 5 centimeters in total. This is the front. I need to mark and sign the center front as well. As I've already said, the center front should be signed. Do not forget to mark it. This is very important. When I start cutting the waistband, the seams will break. In order to avoid it, I'll stick the seams with the sticky tape. I'll also mark the upper and the lower parts of the waistband. The only thing left to be done is to add some here for the wrap over and a bow. That's it. I also need to sign the sides, the center back and the center front in the lower detail. I show you the most simple techniques. I prefer to work fast and easy. The best thing about this technique is that even if I make mistake in this detail, I still have the second part of the mockup. I can make many more mockups on its basis. This is the center back detail and the center back. This is the front detail. This is the side seam. I signed everything, so I'm not going to make mistakes. The tucks and the waistband are tacked. We can continue working now. I've forgotten to sign this detail. The center back, the center front, the upper side, the lower side, the upper side, the lower side. This is the side seam. That's it. Don't be lazy. I can move this detail aside now. I'll be working with the upper part of the bodice. The shoulder darts shouldn't be changed. They're perfect. I'm going to cut the extra details from them. I'll actually cut the extra details from all darts and tucks. Don't be afraid of doing it. Very nice. Do the same thing in the front detail. Let's continue working. This is how the upper part of the bodice looks like now. We need to turn it into the detail which we see in the sketch. How to do it? First I need to move the chest dart, and then I need to make a wrap over. I remind you that the wrap over will be doubled with facing. This is the center front. First I need to make the edge of the fabric straight. It's very important to do it. This is the upper detail of the front. I need to draw the waistline. I'm going to draw it 1 centimeter lower because I want to add 1 centimeter extension for these. This is the waistline. Next, I need to add 13 centimeters to the center front. You can add 12 centimeters, or even 11 centimeters if you are slim. You can make a wide wrap over. I'm not going to do it because I don't want the bow to be on the side. I want it to be placed on the front. This is why I added 13 centimeters for the wrap over to the center front. Next, I need to draw the center front itself. I'll sign it. After that, I need to pin the center front of the mock-up to the drawn line. I hope that everything is clear so far. There is nothing complicated in this technique. I need to pin the upper part of this detail. I'll be working with the lower part of it. I remind you that the extensions for the shoulder and the side seams are already included in the pattern. Be very attentive. Do not forget to pay attention to such details. Let's move on to working with the dart. I need to cut this part and close the original chest dart. Have a look at this opening. These are the waist and the chest darts together. Just imagine how inconvenient it would be to iron this angle. This is why the dart should be divided in two. I want everything to be perfect. Watch what I'm doing next. This part can also be pinned now. Be very attentive. I'm showing you everything very thoroughly. Have a look here. This is where the dart top is now. It should be moved 1.5 centimeters lower. I'm doing it for the dart to be more beautiful. Next, I need to draw the second dart here. It should be perpendicular to the waistline. To do that, I need to draw a line at the right angle towards it. Be very attentive. I'll draw it 3.5 centimeters away from the first dart. I remind you that the first dart ends not here, but 1.5 centimeters lower. In order not to make mistakes, I'm going to stick the original dart with the sticky tape. A pattern should be accurate. It's very convenient to work with the mockups. I'm not afraid of making mistakes because I know that I have the second half of the mockup. What should I do next? This point was moved 1.5 centimeters down from the bust top. The second dart was drawn 3.5 centimeters away from the original one. I can start cutting it now. Stop cutting about 5 millimeters down from this point. I cut the line. You can see that there is no opening here. To make an opening, I need to make a cut here as well. I'll make the opening about 2.5 centimeters wide. You can make it as wide as you want. I need to outline the darts next. I remind you that the mockup serves as a pattern. These two darts shouldn't be even. The second dart should always be smaller. Have a close look here. I made a tiny opening here in order to make the second dart. Ignore it. There shouldn't be any opening here. What is also important is that the second dart should be a bit shorter than the first one. I don't know why, but some people decided that this was not a mock-up, but an actual blouse. I've outlined the darts. Next, I need to trace all the other details. It takes just about 5 minutes to move the dart, divide it in two, and outline the details. I can detach the pattern and throw it away. I remind you that I still have the second half of the mockup. I'm showing you a lot of useful techniques in these videos. I've detached the pattern. These are the darts. This is the waistline. It looks this way due to the fact that there are two darts here. You know that I'm not good at drawing. The side seam, the armhole. I'm much better at cutting than I am at drawing. This is the shoulder seam. I remind you that I'm making a garment with the drop shoulders. Let's have a look at the front neckline. This is where it should end. Draw a smooth, beautiful line up from this point. Notice that this part of the front neckline isn't round anymore. Have a look at this point. This is where the center front and the front neckline cross. Notice that the original round neckline and the new straight one match in this point. I changed the shape of the front neckline, but I didn't want to change its depth. I couldn't make this part of the front neckline round and the lower part straight. This is why I drew a beautiful smooth line. I need to make spacing seams on the center front in the both front details. The upper part of the front is ready. I need to cut it and move it aside. When it's done, I'll move on to working with the next details. I remind you that the seam extensions were included in the pattern. Where I cut the blouse, I'll show you how it should look like. I don't need to add the seam extension here either. The only thing I want to change is the bottom of this detail. I want to add 1 cm extension for the ease here. Notice that the extension ends on the level of the first dart opening. I did it for the fabric not to be stretched. Do not forget to add 1 cm seam extension when cutting this detail. This is the upper detail at the front. Here are the wrap over, the darts, and the center front. The best thing about the back detail is that it can be cut without any changes. Do not forget to add the seam extension to the center back. I also need to add 1 cm seam extension to the bottom of this detail. You can make a lot of different garments on the basis of this pattern. Make a mock-up and try adjusting it to different garments and designs. Let's check if the side seams are even. They are. It's just that one is straight and the other isn't. I'll cut just a couple of millimeters here. Perfect. Do not forget to check if the side seams are even. This is very important. I need to outline the dart, the waist dart, and the shoulder dart. These are the front and the back details of the upper part of the front. That's all for today. I showed you how to adjust the mock-up for a particular design. Next time we'll continue working with this blouse. Be different and beautiful. My name is Paukshte Irina. Subscribe to my channel. Thank you. Goodbye.